One of the changes that has been a forced hand based on COVID-19 has been the work from home and the working remotely. And a lot of what is coming up in, can you, Teresa, please provide webinars and learning around for our leadership, is leading remotely. Oftentimes in those sessions, what leaders are asking is around this element of trust. The biggest problem we have right now is I don't know what people are doing. I can't see them. And so I have to trust that they're doing it, but I don't really trust that they're doing it. And so I'm getting all this anxiety and stress, and I'm behaving in ways that are micromanaging in their nature. Trust is an element critical to any organization's success. And it often is part of the company's core values. It's part of their mission statement, their vision, the words that are written on the wall. And yet, trust behaviorally is nowhere to be seen. You can't observe it. Meaning, not that we can't observe it, but we can't and don't see it actually occurring in the workplace. What we see are behaviors related to a lack of trust. So what do? In emotional intelligence, trust is the key component under the skill of interpersonal relationships. The strengths and depths of a relationship that we have with anybody is built on a foundation of trust and compassion. When we look at relationships we have in the workplace, we have to be able to ask ourselves the question, do I trust this person? And why? Have I created a climate within which trust can actually exist, where I am demonstrating the behaviors that allow another person to say, I trust you, and the other person is demonstrating the behaviors where then they can say, I trust you, you trust me. It is reciprocal in its nature, but it is up to the individual to decide. And so in being forced now to work remotely, it has heightened the gap that exists within trust in the workplace. We didn't have it before. We're certainly not going to have it now that we're working remotely. And it can become very visible in the way that people are behaving, especially in the way that leaders are behaving. So what do we do about it, right? Well, I know that you come to watch these videos because I'm going to tell you what to do about it. In establishing trust, trust is deepening a relationship. It's not just about creating greater harmony professionally. It's deepening the relationship. We have three sort of types of relationships that exist. One is our intimate relationships. This is where we share the utmost elements of ourselves with the other person. Two is relational. These are our friends, the people we surround ourselves with that support us and encourage us, and we know they're there for us, reliable and loyal. And third is our collective, our community-based relationships. If any one of those are lacking, we can have a sense of loneliness. And a sense of loneliness is an emotional experience. It can often lead to grief and sadness. And so now we see the importance of having all three of those relationships to the highest quality that we can have them. When we want to build relationships in the workplace, which could be considered part of our collective relationship, community-based, they can also be our relational ones. In the workplace, we often will have friends. We need to dig into the depths of the relationship. We need to be able to be vulnerable and explore with each other beyond the workplace environment. So now we're talking about things like hobbies and family and friends of the individual. We're looking at their religion, their spiritual practices. We're looking at them as a whole. And the deeper we can bring that relationship, the more opportunity for trust to exist. Once trust exists, then emotionally we become much more regulated. We become more neutral in all of our experiences because we trust, and trust exists. And when we become more neutral in our emotional experiences, our IQ stays turned on. So intellectually we get to flourish. And it is our intellect that gets work done when we have to be creative and innovative, when we have to problem solve. And so now we begin to see that the root of a lot of our bottom line impact or outcomes that we're aiming for stems from trust and compassion in interpersonal relationships.